There has been another amendment to the SAFE Act, which is the gun control legislation. Retired officers who used high-capacity weapons while they were in their career will now be able to use magazines that hold more than 10 rounds, and that was banned in the SAFE Act. So let's watch your vote on that.
The day after we passed the SAFE Act, I introduced legislation to do exactly what Senator Golden's bill does, to exempt retired law enforcement. Not because I think retired law enforcement are a better class of people, but I do think that they are there to protect people, like on the Long Island Railroad, the tragedy we had years ago. We need to make sure that all of us have the proper ammunition to defend our homes. That's another bill I have, the Defend Our Homes Act, which would give everyone in their house the right to have 10 rounds.
Do you want to talk more about the Defend Our Home Act?
Yeah, one of the things in the bill that was passed, the SAFE Act, is reducing the number of rounds you can have in your magazine or clip to 7 rounds from 10. Now, this was a big deal because there's no magazine that holds 7 rounds. It was just 10 rounds. So the compromise, I think it was a crazy compromise, was to be able to have 10-round magazine in your gun at home, but you can only have 7 rounds. Now, of course, this would entail a law enforcement official to go into your house, look in your closet or wherever you're keeping your gun, and count the rounds. It's kind of crazy. So I just said it makes more sense to allow people, and this was a big concern. You don't, God forbid something happens, a home invasion or something like that, you want to have as much ammunition as possible to defend yourself and your family. So let's go back to the 10 rounds. That bill was not passed in the past session that we just had. I'm hoping for when we go back into it that we'll get more political support behind it, both on Republican and Democratic sides, and pass that into law.
People like police officers who protect society and put their lives on the line deserve the utmost respect. And we're looking at a picture from this year's Police Memorial Remembrance Ceremony, and you were there. And one of the brave men being honored was Officer Arthur Lopez, who was originally from your district and a 9-year veteran of the Nassau County Police Department. Only 29 years old. You want to tell us about what happened?
Yes, Officer Lopez was killed in actually a stop on the side of the road. He moved up to a car, presumably for a traffic offense. And that's these heroes like Officer Lopez, they never know when something like this can happen. You know, it seems like a regular traffic stop, and then he's shot and killed. For his family, I met the family in the wake, and wonderful people, and we will never forget his service and sacrifice. We've had a tough time in the 4th Senate District, and earlier than that, the Assembly District I represented. We lost 2 officer heroes, Officer Lopez and Officer Figoski, who was subsequently killed in New York City.
Right, and as a token of gratitude and a reminder of the officer's sacrifice, the governor has signed in a bridge to be renamed after Officer Figoski, and the Senate has passed a bill to rename a bridge on the Jericho Turnpike for Officer Lopez. Let's take a listen to what you had to say.
Officer Lopez was a constituent in the 4th Senatorial District, and his friends and neighbors in Babylon will always remember him as a tremendous officer, but also a neighbor, someone who was involved with his community, was a leader on his street, made friends, and was always helpful to the people who he lived near. The highway may be in Nassau County, but in the hearts of Babylon, Officer Lopez will always be with us.
So it has been sent to the Assembly to act on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that both of these officers will be honored officially. They had a ceremony recently for the officer, and it's nice, I think, to remember these fallen heroes, men and women, that have given, particularly the ultimate sacrifice, where generations from now, someone will be driving by and say, "Oh, Officer Lopez, how did he die, and what happened?" And the nice thing with Google and stuff like that, you know, someone asking the question, they can find the answer, and the tremendous sacrifice and commitment and dedication and heroism of these officers. They can find it in a matter of seconds once they see that sign.